Hi, it's a glorious fall Friday, and this week I am sharing 5 things you might not know about me. So mysterious. Number 1, I wrote my first mystery when I was in 2nd grade. It's true. And I actually have a copy. I have to tell you that in 2nd grade, my mystery had very little plot, no character development. However, my penmanship was quite nice and much improved than today's. It's titled The House on the Hill, and it involves 2 sisters who end up at a haunted mansion when their bikes break down. There are lots of cobwebs sweeping across their face and creaky steps into the basement. But what I think is the best part of this 2-page mystery is that clearly I was destined from a young age to write cozies and not dark thrillers, because here's how The House on the Hill ends. In the morning, we looked around, and the last place we looked was the basement. It was not too scary. We found a bike repair kit and some other things. We hurried back up. Cobwebs were all over us. We went outside and we saw some graves. We took the kit and we fixed my bike, and then we took the kit and we left. And we rode past the house and past the bridges, and we rode home, but we rode fast. Number 2. My degree is not in writing. I did minor in creative writing in college, but my degree is actually in communication disorders and sciences, which is a fancy way of saying speech therapy. For my first few years out of college, I worked in an early intervention program with kids who were birth to 5, who might have speech delays or language development issues. And one of the things that taught me was to really listen and take extensive notes. When I was going out to see a child in a preschool setting or at a daycare, I would take a notebook with me and we would write what are called SOAP notes, S-O-A-P, SOAP, subjective, objective, action, and plan, because you have to really listen to see where speech falls apart to know what sort of intervention to create. Well, when I decided to start writing mysteries, I used my SOAP notes to try to build characters and worlds. So I would go to coffee shops and pubs and bakeries, and I would sit in a corner and just really listen and observe. And one day I was here in Ashland at a bake shop, and I was sitting in a corner with my latte, and I had written out SOAP, subjective, objective, action, and plan. And I was watching everything go down in the bakery. And this woman stormed into the bake shop. She looked completely out of place in laid-back Ashland. She had a white pantsuit and pearls and stiletto heels. She already had a coffee in her hand, but she cut the line and raced up to the front and started just screaming at the baristas and telling them that her coffee was terrible and it was way too cold, and just on and on. And in my plan, I wrote, she could die. And she became the first villain in Meet Your Baker, Nancy Hudson, who meets an untimely death. So here's my advice. Beware. You never know who's listening and watching, so always be nice to your baristas. Number 4, I am a total klutz. I mean, like klutz, klutz, klutz. I used that as the inspiration for my Pacific Northwest series, which features a very young journalist, Meg Reed, who wants to be an investigative reporter and work for one of the big magazines in Portland. But because newspapers are shrinking, she can't get a job. So she claims to be an intrepid adventurer in order to land a gig writing for Northwest Extreme magazine. When in reality, she is also a total klutz, terrified of heights, and basically stumbles over anything in her path. The magazine sends her off to these huge adventures all around the Pacific Northwest, where she is way in over her head. When I was in college, I had a semester backpacking through New Zealand and Australia as an ecotourism class, which in hindsight, I have no idea how I got credit for. But we did amazing adventures. We rafted down a 30-foot waterfall. I rappelled into a pub for a free pint of beer. We went on epic hikes, and I kind of managed to fumble my way through all of those. I certainly was not the most athletic in the group, but I managed. And then I would do things like fall getting off the raft and break my arm. Or when I was working on First Degree Mutter, the 4th book in the Meg series, I was sending Meg on an adventure run, a mud run, and I thought, I will do the same. I will train and do a mud run just like Meg. However, a few weeks before the run that I had signed up for, I tripped walking on the sidewalk and broke my other wrist. Number 5. I have actually traveled to every setting in every series that I write. All of my books are set here in the Pacific Northwest, and I want setting to feel like another character. I want the place to come alive. I want you as the reader to feel it and smell it and touch it and all those beautiful things. And so whenever I'm working on a book, I visit the places that you'll see. Now, of course, in these places, you're not usually going to find murder every other day or amateur sleuths running around and trying to piece together whodunit. But I want my books to feel like a travelogue. For example, in Cave Danger, the 5th book in the Pacific Northwest series, Meg goes to the high desert in Central Oregon to go on a caving adventure. I went to the lava tubes in Central Oregon to go on my own caving adventure to research this book. But because it's fiction, I didn't actually use the exact cave. I created offshoots and tunnels and spooky places for a potential killer to hide. Or like in Death on Tap, I have been to Leavenworth many times to experience Bavaria, and then I get to take it and put my own spin on it. There is nothing better than getting outside and going all around the Pacific Northwest in an effort to bring that into my writing. And there's also nothing better than getting reader email where people say like, I came to Ashland for the first time because I read your book, or I went to Hood River to try windsurfing for the first time because I read your book, or a reader who emailed me and said, thank you, I am in a wheelchair and I can't go see these places, so your words have helped me feel like I'm on an adventure. That is by far the very best thing about writing. Thanks for joining me on another 5 Things Friday. If you have any questions about me that you're dying to know, feel free to put it in the comments below. If you like this video, I would love it if you would click the thumbs up. It really does help. And be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video.